Much of Australia's strong economic performance of late has been closely linked to rapid growth in China, and there's no sign of export demand slowing down, with China embarking on a new stage of its economic development. It wants to follow in Japan and South Korea's footsteps, relying less on cheap labour and more on the production of high-tech goods. China correspondent Stephen McDonald reports from Guangdong province.
When China opened up to the world economy in the 1980s, the launching pad was the new city of Shenzhen. The factories of the Pearl River Delta would soon be flooding the globe, with goods being churned out by a cheap, hungry and massive workforce. But Australia's largest trading partner is now looking to shift its production model. Out with the shoes and dodgy toys, in with the high-tech gadgets. Mainland China wants to emulate the likes of Taiwan, Korea and Japan, which transformed their entire economies, producing electronics, computers and various communication devices.
We want to change people's impressions of made in China. We want people to think more along the lines of created in China.
While China has been very effective at copying and mass producing, analysts point out that this country has lacked the creativity to come up with its own original products in recent years. In fact, many remain sceptical that this can change in a hurry, blaming a lack of innovation on built-in pressures to not step out of line. Yet there are plenty who are today trying to break this mould. ZTE makes communications industry hardware and is a company with lots of ambition.
In the field of terminal devices, mobile phones, at the moment we rank in the first 5 in world sales. By 2015, we're confident we can step into the first 3.
With competition from countries like Vietnam, this place is not the cheapest producer on the block anymore. With wages going up here, China can no longer simply rely on cheap production to drive its economy. It's looking to skill up its workforce and move into more high-tech goods. At GDC in Shenzhen, there are rows and rows of young animators and designers learning to become the 3D movie makers of the future. This company runs training courses as well as producing its own material.
Our work can be broken into several parts. The first is to make original films which have a Chinese character and style. But we also make movies using the stories provided by foreign clients.
Fantawild also produces 3D animation in Shenzhen. It specialises in movies for theme parks and shopping centres. While the company's tailor-made films have been sold to Italy, the United States and even Iran, that's not where it's making its real money.
So far, the most of the turnover is from China. Maybe 70 or 80% is from China.
With a drop-off in European and American demand for Chinese exports, many companies are looking domestically for markets. This has led to companies like Huawei, once known for making phone components, branching out and producing its own mobile phones. Last year, Huawei sold 60 million of them, 20 million of which were smartphones. This year, its goal is to sell 60 million smartphones alone.
Now for Huawei, we want to make some high level smartphones, just like the Samsung and Apple.
In the Huawei showroom, Big Brother is watching. The company's latest surveillance equipment is there on display, tracking you as you move around the room. Huawei was not keen for us to linger in this area. The company was disqualified from bidding for work on Australia's national broadband network because of intelligence assessments that placed it too close to the People's Liberation Army.
What do you say to the criticism that's levelled at you sometimes that Huawei is too close to the military?
Well, I think that's just a reflection of the misinformation that's available about Huawei. We have no links with the military.
Huawei says it's still disappointed in the federal government's decision, but that this huge and ever-growing company will continue to invest in Australia. When you come to Shenzhen, you do get a sense of the grand plans that these Chinese high-tech companies have. Here at Huawei's global headquarters, it's really like a town. The whole area is 2 square kilometres, and there are more than 40,000 people working here, and that's without the factories
they're in another complex altogether.
Yet there's no doubt that the challenges facing China are huge if it wants to seriously shift its modes of production. It will take a good deal of money, resources, motivation and training to make it a high-tech producer with a more affluent local consumer base. Even so, many here believe that this country now has no choice but to make this shift. Stephen McDonald, Lateline.